Welcome, everybody. The NFL season is over, which means it's time to look forward to the NFL offseason, and that includes mock drafts. Today, we're going to be looking at the Minnesota Vikings 2023 NFL mock draft. The Vikings are up in our 2023 NFL mock draft series. Now, they did make the playoffs last year, but there are some changes coming. We're actually recording this right after they cut Eric Kendricks, which adds some more to the table that they need to figure out. They're also possibly going to cut Adam Thielen, and that leaves another need here on the board. They need to fix that defense as well, but pretty good season for Kevin O'Connell in his first season as head coach for the Vikings. A lot to like. Before we get started here, we're going to be using the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. I like it because it has the players who are in the draft, the ones who are going back to college, back in college. There will be some players who fall in this mock draft that maybe aren't the most realistic. As you can see, I've already kind of started it a little bit. Bryce Young's still on the board, and Christian Gonzalez is off the board. But I like it for the most part. We're going to be rejecting all trades. I just want to keep it real with the picks that the teams have right now. It's still before free agency, so things change for sure. There will be trades for sure, but just to kind of give a view of what they might do with their picks going forward. So let's get it started here. Again, the Vikings have pick number 23 in the first round. And it looks like there's Paris Johnson Jr. still on the board. That would be interesting. But I think you really need to look at wide receiver and cornerback to start. Not the greatest with how things have gone for wide receiver, at least. Corner, there's some guys down here. But let's go with Deonte Banks, the corner out of Maryland. He's a guy who's started to rise up draft boards the last several weeks. I think Mel Kiper put him in his first round of his mock draft a couple weeks ago. A guy that I think will be a pretty good athlete. He had a pretty good combine and can really mold into a decent corner. The Vikings have Patrick Peterson. They have Cam Dantzler. I'm not really thrilled with either one personally. So we'll go with the corner in the first round. We'll try to get a wide receiver later. They both have a little bit of depth in this class. I would say corner has a little bit more depth, but I think corner is the bigger need. So we'll start it there. Looking at the board for pick number 87. This is an interesting one. I think Nathaniel Dell is more of a slot guy, but he didn't run that fast at the combine. He might start falling down boards. I'm going to go Cedric Tillman. He was a guy who was the leading returning receiver in the SEC this year, but then got hurt, and that's kind of when Jalen Hyatt took off. He's a bigger outside receiver, can maybe fill in. If they cut Thielen, you can keep KJ Osborne in the slot. You can move Justin Jefferson in and out of the slot. He can play anywhere. He can do pretty much anything, so a lot of versatility there. But Cedric Tillman gives this team another weapon to use as they move forward. All right, so we're going to go to pick 119, and let's go to kind of fill two different things here. Let's go with Nick Herbig out of Wisconsin. He's an edge rusher he's a linebacker who could be more of an edge rusher. He kind of has short arms. He feels more of a linebacker build, but he had so much success rushing the passer that he gives you some versatility. You just lost Eric Kendricks. Yeah, you have Brian Asamoah. Yes, you have Jordan Hicks right now at linebacker. But I think maybe you get Nick Herbig. If you fit him at linebacker, cool. If maybe he can help you rush the passer, that's cool. But either way, he probably starts off on the bench helping and fill in where you need him. And then after that point, maybe turns into something more for you. All right, next one up. Let's go with Colby Wooden, the defensive lineman out of Auburn. Get some more defensive line depth. That is one of the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator needs that is on the board. And we'll move on to pick 177, which coincidentally is the last pick that the Vikings have in the NFL draft. There's a couple different places we can go here. The edge seems to be a need, but they have guys who are starting right now, Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. So maybe you can go somewhere else if you're trying to find depth. But we'll see what the edges are here. Maybe go another corner, maybe double down on corner. Doesn't really want us to do that. But I'm going to go Keitrell Clark, the corner out of Louisville. Some guys past their prime, like Patrick Peterson, one of my favorite corners, but just doesn't really have it that much anymore. Cam Dantzler, again, not the greatest. Keitrell Clark, more of a guy you start on special teams, maybe see if he can work out in the future for you, as he is a guy that you're getting at pick 177 and should not be expected to start right away. But let's take a look at this mock draft as we go forward. So Deonte Banks, again, a guy who's starting to rise, an athletic corner. I still need to do my deep dive on his tape because he is such a late riser in this mock draft process. But you get a guy you can start from day one. Across from Patrick Peterson or Cam Dantzler, whoever you end up keeping or starting, that's fine. He can start right next to him. You get that wide receiver in Cedric Tillman, who, assuming you cut Adam Thielen, he's going to be your starting, probably number 2. And I think he's a really good receiver. He's recovered from that injury. If you do somehow keep Thielen, maybe bring him back on a better deal for you, you can move guys around. I think the Vikings wide receiver core has enough versatility that Tillman could still really play an impact year 1. Nick Herbig, who you got to figure out what position he's going to play, but he could play linebacker if you feel like you need that after being kind of like stuck with Brian Asamoah and Jordan Hicks. Could be an edge rusher, could be a guy who does a little bit of both for you off the bench to start before you kind of get a real read on what he's going to be in the NFL. Colby Wooden, defensive line depth, you never want to get to, you always want to get more defensive line depth as you move forward in the draft. Pretty good value at pick number 160. And then Keitrell Clark, wouldn't be a bad idea to double down on corner this offseason. Just, Patrick Peterson's aging, and see what you can get. I know the Vikings have missed on some corners in the past as well. So get some more depth there, possibly just a special teamer for his whole career, but at that rate, if you can get someone to pick 177 to have a good special teams career, you have to feel good about that. All right, so let me know what you think of this mock draft in the comments. I like this one personally. I think maybe you could do a little bit better in the middle rounds and late rounds, but the first 2 picks I do really like. We're going to be doing more mock drafts until the 2023 NFL draft comes about. Make sure to like and subscribe as you go along. And thanks for everyone for watching. We'll see you guys next time.